That was a little embarrassing. Put the boat in the water. I didn't notice. I did check the props. I didn't check them for left and right, and they were on backwards so that when you shifted it forward, the boat went in reverse. When you shifted it in reverse, the boat went forward. Over here at Pori Hotel and Marina, going to check a friend/client's boat. The rudder post is leaking badly from what I gather, so we're going to see what we can come up with. I have a feeling we're going to have to haul the boat. Beautiful day here in Key West. Be a nice day to be fishing, that's for sure. But got work. Maybe tomorrow's supposed to be nice too, but I don't think we're gonna make it out. They say it's for the rudder. It's a rudder dripless that's leaking.
Well, it's definitely not dripless now, but
well, yeah.
Yeah, it didn't seem to have a packing nut on it.
No, it's a Tides Marine Seal.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So what we're looking at right there, that's a lip seal for the rudder. This is the rudder post right here. That one's not bad. That one's not leaking too much, I don't think. So let's see if this one's leaking. So I'm not sure what the story is, but that one is not leaking either. But something that concerns me is, I don't know if you see that nut right there, but somebody loosened it up and never tightened it down. That's concerning. But that's not something we would address here. You gotta, before you start wrenching on that, you definitely probably want to have that out of the water. Okay, so yeah, it's this one that's leaking pretty bad. So it's actually not leaking out of the lip seal up top. It's leaking where it goes onto the rudder tube. So that's where it's leaking.
You look quite comfortable back there, Mel.
Yes, sir.
What you up to?
We are installing a new battery charger.
So, white one's the new one.
Where's the new one?
Where's the old one?
The old one's right there in the box.
Here's the old one.
Here's the old one.
Old analog. Older than me. About Mel's age.
Yeah, probably older than me. There's a lot of black here, so it's telling me that it's
Oh yeah, you can see on the
something
blade.
inside is burned up. So, and when you turn this on, the indicator just bounces back and forth, and there's no voltage or amperage coming out of the charger. So we'll change it.
It was time to get changed, that's for sure.
And because the charger was dead, this is not a battery charger for the house batteries or the engine batteries. This is a battery charger for the two batteries for the bow thruster system. So they were running the bow thruster unknowingly when the charger was dead. So over time, these batteries have gone to 0 voltage. I tried to recover them. I got one up to 2 volts. The second one wouldn't even think about coming alive. So
I mean, still, even if you do recover them, you cut like the life expectancy in half when you do that.
So we have 2 other batteries sitting on a charger because to check all of this on the bow thruster system, you have to have the batteries at 100%. So we'll get the charger in and then we'll probably put the batteries in tomorrow.
Yep, they're on charge right now. Big boys, so they need a while to charge.
Well, we got it all connected and all the wires are put together. Clean little connectors here right inside off of these large battery cables. That's a little bit tricky to do, but we got it done.
No, got it done. Just putting the last holder on. Can we even op check this now, or do we have to wait for those new batteries?
I don't have a battery to check. I mean, we can check to see if it turns on, but we don't know if it's going to charge. Because it's going to show the system as being 0. So it may just give alarms over and over again, and I don't want to start it up until there's a battery that has a good charge on it, because we have to do a setup for the battery profile, and then you got your charger output you've got to watch, and we can't do any of that without a good battery. We'll wait, we'll get the batteries in tomorrow and everything will be ready.
All right. So I'm going to go through what we did on this old Outrage 24, 1994. Yeah, so this thing is in pretty good shape for a 1994, but it's a Boston Whaler. What do you expect? The client, I expect, is going to repower probably next year, and he had us do a whole bunch of electronic and electrical updates. New speakers we put in here and down below on both sides. This thru unit in here, and we put this little storage box in here for him. And we made new panels too. Now, down here, cut a new panel in, and we put this thru in, and also this Fusion radio. And then we remounted this whole panel. We put in an outlet here for him, and we reused his old radio, because next year, if he repowers, a lot of this will change again. So yeah, that's what we did. Everything's working. You can see that's lit, that's lit. I'm just waiting. We have to get the Navionics chip to get the better maps on here than what's on here now, because these aren't in good shape, but turned out pretty good. we'll see what he wants to do in a year or so when he starts talking about repowering, because we talked about getting rid of all this, getting rid of this, and putting a big panel up here, and then put like 2 big screens up here. So nowadays, you can run all your engine information on one of your screens, and you could split the other screen. We might end up doing that eventually, but this is what he wanted for now, so we hooked him up. So I'm in the barn at Stock Island Yacht Club. This is a client / buddy of mine's boat, Pursuit. Pretty little thing. I fished on it a lot, but they don't use it very much because they don't get to come into town much. But we are going to hop up here and do an electrical check. Let's see if he wants me to put it in the water. This lower unit is leaking. Shucks. I'm guessing there's fishing line in there and it damaged the lower unit seal, so that's leaking. We got to get that fixed. She's dirty. That's why I'm doing my check, and then we're going to get this thing detailed up and cleaned up. And it actually has a cover that goes over the whole boat. We'll get that put back on too. Looks like it's alive. Well, I guess I better start a list. Horn's not working. It's supposed to be a lot louder than that. It appears the engine start battery is good, but all the house batteries are dead. And unfortunately, both his Garmin screens are delaminated. So I'm going to cheat a little bit. I combined the batteries so I can just see what's going on here. The horn probably worked better now. Yep, VHF is working. Well, it looks like it's still going to work, but we'll have to see what Al wants to do with that. All right, so we're going to have to get the battery charger plugged in. It's a built-in unit. It's back behind here, but there's an outlet right there to plug it in. Or no, it's right there. There it is. So we'll get that plugged in and get these batteries charged up. Hopefully they all recover. If they don't, we'll change them out. The lower unit on the port engine is leaking. We're going to pull that gear case and change the seals. We're going to replace both these screens because of the delamination. I hope you guys can see that right there and right there. Unfortunately, they're not under warranty anymore. That big trolling motor battery down here, it's a big lithium battery. It's dead. I'm hoping that that comes back because that's really expensive. So we will see, but I'm glad I checked the boat when I did because they're coming in about less than a month. They want the boat all ready to go. And just make sure I turn the battery switches off and off. These are all off. That's off. Okay, we're good. All right. Well, yep, more work. We'll get it on the list. We're heading over to Perry Hotel to look at a big old boat, and we'll see what we can find out. All right.
Good one, thank you.
All right, so I didn't go on board, so I didn't get video, but
okay, so they're having some problems with what we assume is the thermostat. And I did look at the thermostat plug, just like an old phone jack, and it was dirty and had a little corrosion on it. So I cleaned it and put some grease on it. We're going to test that for a while. Their spot 0 has a leaking fitting, so I sent pictures of that into my buddy Dwayne at Encompass, also known as TK Alley, and he'll get those parts coming to me. Maybe they'll be here tomorrow. And they also need, don't let me forget, they also need a piece of my Dometic, that black filter material for the return air. Down here, downtown Key West, Mallory Square, right here by the cruise ships. Hey, I had a question for you guys. Let me get back to that cruise ship in a minute. So we have a lot of problems with our GoPro cameras, and I'm curious if you guys have experience with any other brands, you know, DJI or whoever else is out there. Especially during summertime, our cameras it gets so hot down here in Key West that they literally overheat in 15 minutes if you're recording that whole time. And I would like some input from you. If you have experience with some other cameras, that would be awesome, because it gets kind of frustrating sometimes. We also have to reset our cameras quite often, which involves taking them out of the case, pulling the battery out, putting the battery back in, and all that. So let me know in the comments, and I appreciate your advice and feedback. Okay, like I said, I'm down here, cruise ship. Don't get these calls very often. Behind me, it's a smaller cruise ship. They're having air conditioning problems. I guess they just need a recharge until they replace their system in a month or so, waiting on parts. I'll try to film on board. I'll ask permission. I don't know if I'll get permission, but we'll find out. If we don't get permission to film, I will fill you in when I'm done. I got my parking pass, so that's all good, and let's go. So yeah, big old Drake unit, low on refrigerant. Liquid from condenser. So this is liquid. You need low pressure side of the house. This is a filter dryer. It's a shut off solenoid valve. So I'm trying to find the low pressure side here. Kind of made some progress, not exactly, but so let's start with the air conditioning plant, big Drake unit. You saw it a little bit. I was adding refrigerant to it. So they have 2 compressors, each one running 1 chilled water unit. So because there's a big system, a lot of demand. So I was adding refrigerant to compressors number 1 and 2, because again, they're combined. It would start taking pressure and it would run. Then all of a sudden, for some reason, it would set the low pressure alarm again. Well, I continued to play with it and I got it working pretty well. But then I noticed a bunch of oil on the deck underneath the refrigerant coolers, their saltwater coolers. And I found where it was at an elbow, and the inside of the elbow, like right there, the inside of your elbow, there's a crack like all the way around inside the elbow, a little tiny hairline crack, but that's where the oil kept coming out. And so I had to tell them, I'm like, hey, the only way to fix this is take the system down, close the valves as best you can, and then blow the remainder of the charge out, or recover it actually. And then you would have to braze silver solder and take that fitting off and put a new one in. They're leaving in 45 minutes. You'd have to take the air conditioning down. So how you doing? The other thing is the reefer was so over-serviced. The whole thing, the accumulator tank, everything was a ball of ice, and it was going into the compressor, was all ice. I was able to blow a little bit off, but then the unit went into defrost. The manual timer is all out of whack. I didn't want to be responsible on short notice trying to adjust that manual timer, because that manual timer controls the time that the unit thinks it is, but then it also controls the defrost cycle, and it thought it was like 6:30 at night. I don't know why normally you want it to go in a defrost cycle in the middle of the night when nobody's coming and going. That all is going to be addressed. Both items will be addressed when they get up to Jacksonville. I didn't really fix anything, I guess, but I did identify the problem. So I guess I'll call that a win. Okay, bear with me with these Blue Angels. They're practicing right now. That does hurt the ears, by the way. Really does. So we're getting close on. We got the props on, the prop nuts are torqued, and cotter pins are in. Captain is working on the primer and bottom paint for the struts and rudders. He needs to clean off his 2 transducers. They have some growth on these. It's actually like coral, and it can actually impede the performance of the transducer, this one too. So he needs to clean off both these. So what we're gonna do is, when they're putting a new wrap on the transom, when they're all done with that, the bottom guys are gonna finish up the bottom paint, and then we're going to put the boat in the water, and we're gonna leave it on the seawall for 3 days. Then we're gonna come back. We just have a couple bolts holding the shafts in right now, the 2 couplings together, so that way nothing can fall out because the rudder's there anyways. And we're gonna put it in the water and let it sit for 3 days. And that lets this, because you can see it's sitting on these blocks. So this is not how the boat sits in the water. The water is not supporting the whole way to the hull. We'll let things settle down, and then we'll check our engine alignment. Once our engine alignment is within limits, which I like 5 thousandths, no more than 5 thousandths gap all the way around those couplings and their 2 circles. I know my camera woman is distracted. If that's all good, then we will put the bolts in, and then we will turn it over to the engine guys, and the engine guys will finish up what they need to do, and then we'll start doing performance runs and sea trial.
Pretty soon.
Yeah. Hopefully next week. We are working on a bunch of modifications to it. Chris and AJ are here working on it. They worked on it all day yesterday. So what are we doing, Chris? What are you guys working on?
Right now, if you come over to the starboard side, you actually see the customer wanted some very big spreader lights specifically for tarpon fishing. So existing lights, he had these 2, what I call docking lights, little guys right here and right there. So we're pulling those out, running new wire, because the wire for this is undersized for this big mamma jamma right here. So right now we're about to wet set it with 5200. We've got it adjusted, it in place, nice and watertight. We'll run this one through the old existing wire run here, where we've ran larger wire, because these draw about 8.5 amps, and the older ones did not as much. So, and then they had 16 gauge wire. So we're just going bigger and newer for that. And then we're gonna do the same thing on the other side.
Other projects that we did was, I think guys, yesterday you guys replaced all the bushings for tilt.
Yeah, so all the bushings are brand new, because the other ones were cracked and corroded and worn out. So we put some new bushings in there. Right here, we'll put the new trim sensor in there. Got that done. We've got the zincs off right now, because if you notice, there's a lot of burning and pitting, and even the props had holes in them.
Hey, don't forget this zinc down here.
So put a new eyelet on that one bonding wire for the outboard because that was not connected, which is what, well, it was corroded away and the eyelet was no longer there. Got that fixed, got a new one in there. So when we get the new zincs in. And the other thing I think I'm gonna end up doing is adding another wire, because what I've also found is if you look at the underwater lights that are on the motor bracket, you can see some burning around them.
Yep. This is a new transducer too, right?
That is a brand new transducer.
That's kind of ate up. You guys see that? It's all corrosion. We should probably check and see if we can bond that. So they replaced this, and they got to check the underwater lights. So the bushings they put in are all up in here and in here. Keep an eye on the alignment because the bushings were gone and they were rubbing really hard when you came down on the tilt trim on these. We're also checking every system on the boat to make sure everything works. We're going to put a new VHF antenna up there. Anything that's broke, we're going to fix it.
This is a perfect lesson in labeling things properly and using proper color code. No labels.
All red.
All red. Which is the proper color code because it's power. But which power is which? I don't know.
Nobody knows.
Great boat, but it's older. We've been having to do some rewiring because the old wiring was shot. It was just gone. Rewiring a boat, an old boat, is a very difficult and expensive job. Trying to run wire in a boat that's already been built and the runs are all full of wire already, you can burn through a lot of man hours fishing wire. Let me tell you, a lot of people don't understand that when hey, let's upgrade all our electronics. And I'm like, okay, well, the electronics, that's the cheap part. Buying that's the cheap part. It's the labor to put them in. They're going to have a bill, but it'll be beautiful when we're done. But people just need to understand that that takes a lot of time and effort. The wiring and code, comparing an American-made vessel compared to a European-made vessel, it's going to take longer and take more effort and time, which means money, to work on a European boat. It's harder to get parts. You have to figure out the wiring code. If you need tech support, what time can I call and when can I call? Half the time in the UK or wherever you're calling, it's nighttime when you're working during the day. So a lot of times you end up emailing and you can lose a lot in translation with email. Language barriers, you know my rule. Well, a lot of you do. If you're in America, buy an American-made boat. Makes life a lot easier. Cheaper too. We're gonna go pop this Ponga in the water, get it all fired up. So that was a little embarrassing. Put the boat in the water and I didn't notice. I did check the props. I didn't check them for left and right. And they were on backwards so that when you shifted it forward, the boat went reverse. When you shifted it in reverse, the boat went forward. But we got it straightened out, but we should do better than that. We have some more follow-on work to do once the boat's down at the slip, which will be next couple days, and we'll wrap that job up. I was going to give you a quick update. If you saw the video with that sailboat that was abandoned right there at the mouth of Cow Key Channel on the south side of Key West, which is right over there, I ran into the Coast Guard guys that responded to that call. And they said that what they ended up doing was they looked the name up and the type of vessel, and they found a name, and they called the phone number that was on the registration with the name and got a hold of the guy's wife. Turns out that we're out sailing or motoring. I don't think they were sailing, they were motoring. And they lost the engine. So then they dropped anchor. Again, remember it was windy that day. They then put the dinghy in the water and went on shore to go get parts to fix the engine, maybe. I don't know. The Coast Guard finally got a hold of the guy and said, hey, you need to come move your boat or we're gonna tow it because it was in the channel. So that's the update with that. Kind of crazy. I guess it didn't have registration stickers on it because it was a Coast Guard inspected vessel, which means that they could do like commercial stuff, I guess, for money. So that's why it didn't have any stickers on it. But yeah, that's the update for that. This is my first day back to work and I'm gonna call it a day. My head's pounding, so yeah, recovery is going a little slow. My neck is bothering me. Thank goodness I'm getting checked out again tomorrow. I don't know if I have whiplash or what, but I was up half the night because my neck was hurting. So I'll get that looked at. So I'll give you an update on that and let you guys know how it's going. But yeah, recovery is a little slow. For those of you that don't know, I hit my head, gave myself a concussion, got brain fog and don't feel very well and can't think very clearly. For those of you that are new to our channel, we work on many different types of boat, from I just worked on an ocean liner the other day to micro skiffs. We do almost everything except we don't do blackwater. If you don't know what blackwater is, leave me a comment, I'll let you know. We don't do woodwork, and we don't climb a sailboat masts just because of the insurance. That's what our channel is all about, is fixing boats and fixing stuff. Sorry, you got a Navy jet coming into the base over there. have a goal that we're working on. We're progressing nicely. I don't know that we'll make it, but we're working on it, trying hard, and that's all because of you and will help us reach that goal. We're trying to reach 50,000 subscribers, so we've got a ways to go, but we're working on it, and we're going to keep pumping out content. We try to stay on top of the comments and get back to you with your questions and comments. We surely appreciate all that. We appreciate you watching.